woke up like this. Just kidding, not the makeup, but my hair. My hair is like so voluminous this morning, but the volume is missing on the bottom, so it looks kind of like boom, boom, helmet head. I'm thinking about getting extensions, but there's so much hassle. Well, the fire is slowly dying. On the deal, we're still alive. The lights are turned way down low. Let us know, let us know, let us know.
That's like from the Stranger Things, the Upside Down World.
Oh, yeah. Stopped at Fran's chocolate shop and got a few chocolates here. Pas de noix. It's so good. So I was told that Olympic Manor here in Seattle would have a really great light display because everybody in this neighborhood, as part of their homeowners association, has to or is strongly encouraged to decorate their homes. So I thought I would drive through here and take a look at it myself. And I'm seeing ahead. There's a really cool decoration up here. Kind of driving around part of my old neighborhood, sort of. I used to live in northwest Seattle, or sort of northwest Seattle. If you're familiar with the neighborhood of Greenwood, it's sort of the neighborhood that I'm in, but more west of that point. But it's just kind of nice to feel nostalgic of when I first moved to Seattle 5 years ago, and just kind of being in my old neighborhood. But I no longer live in that neighborhood, unfortunately. I miss it a lot, but no longer there. I love seeing Christmas lights everywhere, though. It's really fun. It reminds me of growing up. That was one thing we used to do. I grew up in a couple of places. I grew up in Montana, in a small town where my family's from, which kind of makes sense being that that's where I grew up, right? But that said, it was a small town, but a lot of people like to decorate their houses, and my aunt was one of them, my Aunt Glenda. So Glenda, if you're watching, hi! But I remember my aunt decorating her house for every big holiday and just loving just the air of Christmas and the Christmas magic that the lights and the candy and all that fun stuff brought about. But I loved going over to her house because she always had sugar cookies and candy and hot cocoa and all sorts of goodies and snacks and treats. So that was always fun. And my favorite time of the year is any time between October through the end of December. I just love the holiday season and everything that it brings to people, and joy, and just the change of season, enjoying time with family, the food, just everything about it I love. So growing up, I have very fond memories of the holidays and just spending time with family, and yeah. One of my favorite things to do around Christmas time was to go over to my aunt's house, and I often had to walk there from my house, which wasn't a horrible walk, but in Montana it does get pretty cold. And I remember when I'd walk out and it freshly snowed that day, and it was really quiet because I would go over in the early evenings when she'd get off from work if I was on break, or at any point I knew she'd be home. And it would be just cold enough that the inside of my nose would freeze, so the little nose hairs would freeze to the skin, and I loved that feeling. I know it sounds so bizarre and weird, like who in their right mind would want their nose hairs to freeze, but it's just the weirdest feeling. But I loved it because it just felt so silly. It felt kind of like a tickle, but in a good way, I guess. I don't know. And then I would do this little motion with my nose, and it would unstick the nose hairs from inside my nose, and then they would freeze again. And when you're outside and it's kind of, at least for me, my nose gets a little runny. So that's why my nose hairs would freeze, is because my nose would be a little runny. And I always carry tissue around with me now, but yeah. I feel like the person behind me is watching me now, and it's kind of awkward because I know that they can see my phone recording me and they can see my face. So I'm not gonna look because this is really awkward. I'm just gonna wait for the light to turn green and just kind of go off on my own. Anyway, going back to those fond memories, another thing that I loved about winters in Montana that I greatly miss, aside from the snow, was the air, the smell of the air. Obviously the air is a lot cleaner there because of it being more country, but people there have a lot more people there have wood stoves and fireplaces, so the air would just have this amazingly luscious scent of pine in the air, and this burning pine, this burning spruce. It was mostly pine though, Douglas fir, you name it. It's just that that smell takes me back. And then the nose hairs freezing on top of that with that delicious smell. That's winter, and that's home to me. And that's how I knew it was almost Christmas time when that would happen. And every year around Halloween, that's when it would start to snow. It was almost always guaranteed to snow on Halloween. So as a kid out trick-or-treating, I had to wear long john underwear just to make sure I'd stay warm enough. But I was that kid who was so determined to get all of her candy's worth, so I would stay out until nobody was out anymore because I knew that people just wanted to get rid of their candy. So when they wanted to get rid of their candy, they would give it out later in the evening knowing nobody else would come. But here I'd show up at their door with my pillowcase in hand, like, trick or treat, I'm so cold. And they're like, oh honey, you should go home, it's cold out. I'm like, no. And they're like, here, take the rest of this candy so you can go home. But that's what home was. Anyway, that was, if you're a kid in Montana or in a small town, that's where it snows, and you know it's gonna snow on Halloween, that's how you know, that's how you get the most candy. Dress super warm. Don't worry about your costume as much, as long as you've got a wig or some hat that covers your head. You'd be fine. And I always had a lot of candy. And sometimes I was nice enough to share with my sister, but that was only if she was nice to me. If she wasn't nice, then I didn't share it, and I hid my candy knowing that she would try to find it. Or at least I hid all the good stuff, like the Snickers and Twix bars and things like that. Anyway, yeah, so that's more of a Halloween story, not so much a Christmas story, but that's just me talking nostalgia in this time of year. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little story time chat. Yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this Vlogmas day. I'm gonna go home and edit a video. Alright, talk